got to recruit the spouse. The spouse locks them in. So when you're interviewing...
Maybe it's just me here, but recruiters, they're starting to get relentless. It seems like they'll do almost anything they can to get you to sign on that dotted line. They'll tell you anything you want to hear and do things like this to lock you in.
The Coach Approach. Get that book. The Coach Approach by Art Williams. Awesome stuff. He always said this: you got to recruit the spouse. The spouse locks them in. So when you're interviewing and you're working with someone, you need to find a way to connect with the spouse.
Most people forget about
Whether
that.
it's a phone call. I used to just say this: hey, I just want to talk to your wife, or you talk to your husband. Well, why? It's just because we're a family company. I want to make sure I answer his or her questions so they have an understanding what we're going to be doing together.
Now, I'd like to introduce you to Cody Askins about show spouse, wife, kids, the whole fam. He says when you're recruiting... I'm sorry, I had to do it. It was too easy. When you're recruiting, don't forget the spouse. 100, connect with them because they help lock in the dream. Whose dream? Exactly, Cody. And I'm not the only one confused. This person says, how can involving spouses in the recruitment process contribute to building a stronger and more successful team? First off, why do you need to connect with the spouse? Second, what if they don't have a spouse?
It's, hey, I just want to talk to your wife, or you talk to your husband. Well, why? It's just because we're a family company.
This book is called The Coach Approach, implying they're talking about sports teams, yeah? But in this example, he says, well, I want to talk to your husband or wife because we're a family company. So which is it? Are you a sports team or are you a family? Because one of those is a giant red flag, and it's not the sports team. Can you imagine just trying to get a job and the recruiter's asking to talk to your wife or husband because they want them to help you lock in this guy's dream? All of this is just pressure tactics, and it gets everyone involved, and it makes it really difficult to back out of the job.
I want to make sure I answer his or her questions so they have an understanding what we're going to be doing together. Because
all this really does is just give a whole bunch of information about you that the company doesn't need to have. Like, can you do the job or not? Are you qualified? Do you have the skills? Why do you need to involve my family in it? This gives you just so much power. Let me just give you a quick example of why you shouldn't let them talk to your spouse. They'll ask all sorts of seemingly friendly questions to you. You might have no idea. Are you guys busy on the weekends? Yeah, do anything on Sundays? It's very easy to gauge if someone's religious or if they'll be busy, and then you can discriminate and you can be biased. Now, if you thought that was manipulative, then you should check out my new course I just released called Hacking the Resume, where you learn to do just the same for your resume. Now, this is pragmatic but taboo advice. It's the stuff that your career counselors aren't going to tell you, but it's the stuff that you need to do to get the job you want. Like, take off your full address, because all they have to do is plug it into Google Maps and see what kind of yard signs your neighbors have or you have and decide if they're biased or not, or a whole bunch of other things. What sort of area do you live in? You'll never even know. You'll just get ghosted, probably. And I've seen all levels, from entry, new grads, students, to CEOs. That's right, CEOs submit their resume to me. So I decided to take the information from all those resumes and all the advice that I've given and put it into a course. Everything that you should do and everything that you should avoid. Anyways, the course goes over a whole bunch of stuff like that, but we also have other services like resume templates, consulting services, and some other courses are on the way. So feel free to check them out with my link in the description, or just go to joshuafluke.store.
I want to make sure I answer his or her questions so they have an understanding what we're going to be doing together, because this dream is not just about you, it's about her as well.
That just feels so manipulative. It's not just about your dream. It's her dream too. Let's bring them all in. Get everyone involved. Let's really sell these people and lock them in.
Sales press a tough day. He's going to go home to the right kind of person that's going to lift him up, saying, honey, remember what Mr. Holland said? We got a price to pay. I want to let her know her
price to pay? What price? Mr. Holland said, remember, honey, he talked to both of us on the phone. Okay, we have a price to... This is so strange.
Honey, remember what Mr. Holland said? We got a price to pay. I want to let her know her dream board's not my dream board. She's going to be my assistant coach to make sure he has a good attitude before he goes to sleep, gets a good meal in him, and gets back up the next day ready to go take on the world.
So you got to make sure that your spouse has a good attitude before he goes to sleep. That's your job as the spouse, because you're now this guy's assistant coach. Are you getting paid for this? Are you also employed there, or are you just a family company and that's how families work? You just help each other out, like, or is it the coach approach? I'm still confused.
Good meal in him and gets back up the next day ready to go take on.
And you have to make sure that he gets back up ready to take on the world. That's you're basically just his parent, but you're the spouse. Thought this was about getting a good job for the candidates. Now I'd like to show you another recruiter who gives recruiters advice on how to recruit. And in this video, again, they're talking about locking them down.
If you go to lock someone down and I ask you, did you lock that candidate down? And you're like, yeah, I think so. Think so. No, dude. Well, they said we'll go ahead and interview and see how it goes. No, that's not locking them down. I'm not gonna send you to an interview and see how it goes. If it hits everything that we talked about, are you good to sign the moment this thing comes in? I could submit you now, Sally, and this thing comes in.
The whole gaming thing. I could submit you now, Sally. I could, but I need you. I could do it. I could make it happen. But what's this back and forth game playing? This is gross.
And if it does, I have to have your commitment that you're gonna sign the moment this thing comes in. Do I have
The emotional manipulation, time pressure tactics, it's very used car salesman vibes here.
Because again, if you beat around the bush and leave things out and tiptoe around locking them down, they're gonna tiptoe around your offer when you get it in.
So there you go. That's the whole assumption here, is that if they don't lock you down and get you to sign it as soon as possible, then you'll just not sign it, which is just a totally baseless assumption. But not only that, I think it's actually important for candidates to wait and look at their offers and see what other offers they might have coming in.
I want the offer to be boom, done, signed.
I bet you do, because then you make your money. So yeah, lock them down, sign it as fast as possible. Next candidate, please. At least that's the tone that I get. One of the worst things about this is that he says, are you good to sign the moment this thing comes in?
And if it does, I have to have your commitment that you're gonna sign the moment this thing comes in. Do I have
That's not a smart decision for any employee. Really, take a day or two to look it over. Look at the contract, see what you're signing. Don't just, oh, I'm getting the offer letter and the recruiter needs me to sign it ASAP because feels, or because he thinks I'm gonna tiptoe around it. No, it's because you should review your offer letter and you shouldn't feel pressured by a recruiter who wants to make their money at a job they don't have to work at. How are recruiters treating you? Are they popping up in the DMs everywhere? Hey, got a new opportunity for you. Hey, just checking in. Let me know down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, click that like button and subscribe if you'd like to see more calling out corporate nonsense. Don't forget to check out my new course, Hacking the Resume. The link for that is in the description, or just go to joshuafluke.store. Having said all that, happy holidays. I hope everyone's doing well. This is what HR lady got me, by the way. The Wubby's whistle letter. Take this to the gas station, fill it up. Anyways, shout out to Pay Money Wubby. But hope everybody's doing well, and I'll see you in the next one.